Hey Brido, this is Donk. Wanted to let you know about probably the best college football game I've ever been to. It was Iowa-Penn State at Kinnick Stadium back in 2008. This is when Penn State was still Penn State. Joe Pa was still the head coach, although at that time I think he was old enough he was coaching from the press box, and this was before the Sandusky scandal broke. It was either a late October or early November game, so it's cold and windy. It was a late afternoon game, so it ended up finishing in the dark. Iowa was pretty mediocre at that point in the season, although they had a ton of talent. And Penn State was like 9-0 or 10-0 and had some serious thoughts of playing for the national championship. But Kinnick ended up being a tough place to play. As you know, Hawks took Ohio State to the woodshed in a night game in Kinnick last year. The year before, they beat Jim Harbaugh and Michigan, and it's just a type of place where teams always have a tough time coming in and playing once it gets dark. Anyway, the game started out with Iowa scoring first. They had Sean Green at running back. Green was one of the best backs in the country that year. On offense, Iowa also had Ricky Stanzi, Tony Moeaki, Brandon Myers. All those guys spent time in the NFL. So Iowa starts off with a touchdown right away, kind of goes back and forth with Penn State for most of the rest of the game. Eventually, I think Green scores another touchdown in the fourth quarter to get Iowa within a field goal, and Penn State's got the ball back with, 9 or 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Penn State ends up being real methodical, moving the ball down the field, which is tough because Iowa had a heck of a defense. Guys like Pat Anger and A.J. Eads ended up playing linebacker in the NFL. Kroll and King were D tackles who went to the NFL, and Adrian Claiborne, who is still in the NFL, was a wrecking ball in the Iowa defense that year. Anyway, Penn State's moving the ball down the field, time's ticking away, and then Tyler Sash playing safety for the Hawkeyes, and he, of course, ended up winning a Super Bowl with the New York Giants. He picks off the ball, so Iowa gets the ball back on their own 20 with 2 or 3 minutes left. So they basically have to run a 2-minute drill to go down and score. And they move the ball, end up getting the ball to about the 25-yard line or so. So that sets up a 40-yard field goal. Dark, cold, windy, and then Daniel Murray, who's like the backup kicker, they only used him for kickoffs, he runs out on the field. So we're sitting there in the stands thinking, wow, this is really something. I think Ferentz later said it's just a gut feel you go with. But they snap the ball. Murray blasts it straight through the uprights, 42-yard field goal. The place goes nuts. The time's expiring. Murray takes off sprinting. He doesn't know what to do to celebrate, so he reverts back to the soccer player and slides on both of his knees. His teammates pile on top of him. As many of the 70,000 fans in the stadium as could rush the field too. We were literally in the top row, so we didn't make it that far. But as you know, the press box at Kinnick Stadium, you take an elevator back down to the main floor, and the only way out is through the parking lot. And so as me and a buddy are sitting there having actually Pepsi after the game, a minivan about hit us, and we looked over. Joe Pa was in the passenger seat. They were trying to move him from the press box to wherever the Penn State team bus was. But that was definitely one of the best games I've been into in person, and just sort of a foreshadowing things to come. The next year, there was Iowa-Penn State night game at Penn State, and Iowa basically won when Adrian Claiborne broke through the line, blocked a punt, and ran it back for a touchdown. Go Hawks.